Super Scoreboard presents Scotland's Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun.
Hello, I'm Stephen Mill and welcome to Scotland's Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun. It's a podcast where we look back at our national sides competing at the Euros, of course 1992, 1996 and Euro 2020 as well. And remember, you can get all the latest news and views on Scotland in the Scottish Sun, as well as all the summer transfer moves and rumours at thescottishsun.co.uk. And speaking of the Scottish Sun, I'm joined by their head of sport and Super Scoreboard Brainbox, Roger Hannah. I'm going to give a different introduction every single time for you, so I'm going for Brainbox today.
You're going to struggle if we have 6 of these today, Steve.
No,
I'm really worried what 5 and 6 is going to look like.
I mean, it will just be like he's on Monday nights on Super Scoreboard or something like that by the end of it. So anyway, thanks for joining us again, Roger, of course. And today, as you can probably see if you're watching this, we welcome a man who's just won the championship with Dundee United, so congratulations. But from a Scotland perspective, started his international career against Cyprus in 2019. He went to Euro 2020 and also played a huge part in getting us there as well with that performance over in Serbia, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a wee bit. Please welcome Declan Gallagher. How you doing, Declan? You alright?
Yeah, not bad. I actually thought I was going to get introduced to that brain box here as well, so I'm a bit disappointed.
Well, listen, we've got the quiz later on, so that you'll put that to the test a wee bit later. So, as I mentioned, just winning the title with United there, so I guess you've had a couple of weeks off, and you've just been enjoying the title celebrations and all the rest of it, and I guess, like the rest of us, looking forward to the Euros in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, this is probably the longest time I've had off football. Had 2 weeks off so far. I've got another 4 weeks to go. I don't know if it's the best for me getting back out of pre-season with my fitness, but no, it's been excellent. Obviously, it was great winning the league so early. Obviously, Rafe gave us a good push, but no, it's been brilliant. And as you say, I'm just looking forward to the Euros now. So
listen, let's start by speaking about your very first call-up, because I'm guessing for any Scottish player, particularly one with your sort of like career as well, like you've played a lot of your time at not the top teams like Celtic and Rangers, where it's sometimes easier to get a call up. Getting a call up for Scotland must have been the most special thing that you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, it was an experience that just obviously lives on in my head constantly. I think the first ever press thing that I did when I get called up for Scotland, it was basically, I thought it was a hoax. When I got the phone call, I actually thought it was Frank Riley that phoned me, and I genuinely thought somebody was just trying to do a bit of banter with me and try to give me a call up, because I was actually a late call up. Somebody, I think it was Grant Hanley, pulled out the squad, and then I get the phone call, and I wasn't expecting that at all. Obviously, I was having a good season with Motherwell, but as I said, I thought everything was a hoax, and I actually said that in my first press interview that I didn't actually believe it until I seen these pictures on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, like, because obviously me and Roger are not going to play with Scotland. Sorry, I think the dream's over, Roger. But like, it must be from your perspective as well. You're there as a journalist. Like, guys like Declan getting called up must be an absolute dream, because like this is what it's all about.
Yeah, they're really good news stories. I mean, there are some guys you can see who are always going to be destined to play for Scotland. Look at the likes of young Lennon Miller at Motherwell. You'd probably put money that he at some stage is going to win a Scotland Cup. But I mean, what age were you, Declan, when you get called up? 27, 28 at the time?
Yeah, I think it was about 27, 28. Yeah.
So so I think most Premiership players, if they get to 27, 28 and they haven't had that call, they're probably within their rights to think it might never come. So when it does come, and you hit such a rich vein of form at club level as Declan did at Motherwell, it's a great news story, for all concerned. Even more so when he gets into the team, plays so well, and it's not just a one-cap wonder. You got into a dozen caps now?
Yeah, nine caps.
9 caps, yeah.
I'm still chasing that 10th if Steve starts listening.
I was going to say, you've been keeping your training up just in case a wee late call up.
Absolutely, I'm still desperate for that. Even if it's via the friendlies, I'm happy just to step in for that 10th.
Absolutely, yeah. So, like you said, you thought it was a hoax, you thought it was a wind-up. But then what's it like going to the training camp for the first time? And you've played against most of the players, I'm guessing you'll know most of them as well, but just being there as well, are you nervous when you're going out to train? Like how are you feeling when you're going out onto the training pitch?
Yeah, I think I was nervous when I first got there. I think the thing that actually was good for me was Lauren Shanklin also got his first call up, I think it was as well. So me and him were roomies together, and then we basically didn't know what was happening, so we'll try to just follow on with people, tag along. I think it was Ollie Burke we've ended up just kind of following on up to the training ground with, and then just going out of the changing room. But it was great, and obviously once you're on the grass and you're doing your job, you're relaxed. But just before that, you're in the changing room, you're trying to have a laugh with a few of the boys and that, but deep down you're thinking, I hope I don't mess up, or I hope I show up, basically. So no, but it was great.
In terms of Steve Clarke, what was his first sort of conversation with you? Did he tell you what he wanted from you, why you were called up? What was your first interaction with him?
I think he just said that it came down to form at the end of the day. I think I was doing really well at Motherwell. We were sitting third in the league. Obviously, it was the COVID season as well, so the league did stop quite early, which was probably thankful for us, because I think Aberdeen might have caught us. But no, he just basically said, just do exactly what you do at club level and stuff like that, and just bring like your character. I think he knew the kind of character I was in changing rooms, and I said, just be yourself. And he said that's the reason why you've got the call up, because when you're a good lad, that you've been doing well, and he said just try and impress and stuff like that, and that's exactly what I try to do.
And what's it like when you actually learn that not only you getting a call up, you said you were a late call up for Grant Hanley, you probably think, I might not be involved here, I'm just going to be the 19th man or whatever. When you learn you're going to play for Scotland, you're going to get that jersey on, does that take it to another level?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was my second camp when I actually got my first start against Cyprus over there, and that feeling of walking out the tunnel and then stand and singing the national anthem. It's like,
are you a good singer though? That's the most important.
Well, I'm not sure. My family on my wife's side basically say that I'm a no bad singer. We like a wee bit of karaoke on a Saturday night.
Oh, nice one, very good.
But no, I don't think it matters. It's just try to keep up with John McGinn and how long he sings for and how high pitched he sings, because he loves it.
That's what I was going to say. We spoke to Stephen O'Donnell on an earlier podcast, and I was like, there was a bit of a thing back in the day, Roger, like players not singing the national anthem and all the rest of it. It doesn't seem to be a problem at Scotland nowadays. Everybody's getting into it. It's fine.
No, everybody's going to, even Lyndon Dykes with his Australian accents, even singing the national anthem, amazing. So no, definitely don't have that problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you say that. So Cyprus, you make your first appearance for Scotland. Who you thinking of at that stage as well? Is there anyone in your family that you're just thinking, whether they're there watching you, whether they're in the stand or they're watching at home? Like, because I think instantly when something like that happens, you probably think of the ones that are closest to you.
Yeah, I think it was basically, my mum, my dad, my wife's mum and dad, and my wife, my kids were actually in Cyprus, because basically, my mum and dad actually came to my first ever camp when it was Russia.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 days to get a visa and managed to get one. And
to go to Moscow.
To go to Moscow. So although I didn't play, they've been to every game. My dad's always been a big follower in my career. He's come to every game. Doesn't matter if it's up in the Highlands or away down at Stranraer. He's always been there. So it was only fitting that he was over there. But in Cyprus, I also had obviously my missus, mum and dad, my missus and my kids there as well. So it meant everything just to stand there singing the national anthem in front of them in the stand that they were sitting in.
Yeah. And how was your dad? How was he? Was he a wee bit tearful, or was he?
No, he's not a tearful guy. To be fair, he's definitely not a tearful guy. He was over the moon. If it meant anything to anybody, it would be him and my mum. As I said, they've followed my career since I was a wee boy, and I know how much that would have meant to both of them. My mum, she would definitely have been crying. It doesn't take much for her to cry, but my dad, he might have been a wee bit better.
Yeah. And the big night, the night everybody remembers, that night in Belgrade, there was hardly anybody there, obviously, because you say, it was the COVID season, it was the lockdown. Did families get over? Were they allowed to Belgrade?
No, it was just basically essentially everybody that had was a part of Scotland at that point. So it was like all the coaching staff, kind of media team behind the scenes and stuff like that. So families, I can actually remember having to phone back my mum and dad, and they were actually having better not say this on the air, but a party in the house for it. Obviously
socially distant.
Socially distant,
yeah, exactly.
Socially distant,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was an incredible night. Let's go straight to it, because we played so well. I think people often forget just how well we played that night, and it was such a sucker punch. And as Scotland fans, we've seen all this, but we know how this movie ends, sort of thing. But then in extra time, we just found a wee bit extra, and such a difficult night for you as well. You're up against a really, really good striker in Mitrovic. What was he like to play against?
He's up there with one of the strongest guys I think I've ever played with in my life. There was just one time in the game we went shoulder to shoulder on the shy line. I've actually bumped him. I went back to go, I thought, right, I'm going to have a good game here. 5 minutes later, the ball got whipped into him in the box. He's pinned me, and I couldn't move. I was like, I felt like a wee boy. I was like, oh God.
He's some size. He's some size of a guy. But great performance. And then obviously we'll get to the actual celebrations in a bit in just a wee second.
I was just going to ask. Since then, now you had Mitrovic in your back pocket for 120 minutes. He doesn't score a goal. Now he's on 47 million a year in Saudi Arabia, and you were playing at Gayfield and Capello last season. What on earth happened? Do you want me to phone the Saudis and just mention your name?
If you want to, because I think he's still scoring goals earlier as well. So
I think Roger needs to be your agent here. I think that's what's happening.
That's a good shout. To be fair, I have been trying. I've still been telling people to this day what I done to Mitrovic, but nobody believes me.
Well, plenty of people believe you, because every time the game's mentioned, Gordon Duncan mentions it in Super Scoreboard. That's his abiding memory of the game.
That's perfect.
Your display against Mitrovic.
You and Gordon are coming into my next contract discussion, then you can sort it.
It was such a great night though. And where were you in the list of penalty takers? Because obviously we didn't need you in the end, but where were you? Did you put yourself forward, or would you have taken one?
Well, when it got there, I would have took one, but I think me and Ryan Jack were kind of having an argument on the halfway line of who was going to step up. Now I think Kieran Tierney would have took the 6, and then I think it was going to be like Jacko, and then I think me after that, but I would have probably shouted for Marshy to maybe take it from me.
That's what I was going to say. You see the fad now, Joe Hart taking one, Ederson taking one. Would you have been in front or behind David Marshall?
Well, I would hope I would be behind him. I would have took it on the shoulders, to be fair, and I would have took one.
Yeah, totally. And then obviously the scenes of celebration that we've seen so many times before, just brilliant. And it's hard to put into words how it could feel when you're actually on the pitch, because it was amazing enough for us watching back here, but when you're on the pitch and do you realise what you've done? You've done something so massive that hasn't been done for such a long time.
It was just crazy, because like when Marshy saved that penalty and we're all running, and then you just see Marshy's reaction with his hands, like it's the iconic reaction of Marshy, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh no, they ruined this penalty or something. I was on the panic, but then just as soon as you jump on each other, that's how you just think we've done it. And it's like the relief as well. It's like the monkey off the back, 23 years, and you get to a Euros, and it's just unbelievable. Plus, there was going to be a massive party after it as well.
Well, you've already revealed you're a Saturday night karaoke fiend. Did you sing that night or just dance?
Oh, there was definitely a lot of singing. There was no mics involved, but there was a lot of singing. But I definitely danced. If anybody's seen that conga, they've probably seen a bit too much of me, because I had the top off. I think Greg Taylor tried to whip the trousers down as well. So it was a great night, to be fair.
It was unbelievable. It was so good. And that obviously meant that we were actually going to the Euros. Now, obviously, COVID was still a thing, unfortunately. So things were a wee bit restricted. But you're in the squad. You take part in the warm-up games, obviously. What was it like in the camp beforehand? We've heard a lot over the years about players being bored at major tournaments. There's nothing to do, but I'm guessing that wasn't a problem for us.
No, definitely not. I think the fact of just being there, you just had that initial buzz. The training camp, we ended up having our training camp at Middlesbrough. Obviously, I think it was Czech Republic took out the Orium, where we normally have our training camps and stuff like that, because obviously we get through the playoffs. So we end up down at Middlesbrough, but I think it's got the biggest golf course in the fella Europe or something like that. It's like unbelievable.
We're learning a lot about Middlesbrough, Roger and I, through you and Stephen O'Donnell.
Everything about it was just amazing, and it was absolutely excellent. There was definitely no boredom there, as they had their own wee games room and all that kind of stuff. So it was brilliant.
I was going to ask Declan, as we're recording this today, Steve Clarke's about to announce a 28-man sort of provisional squad, which will come down to 26 for the finals. There'll be a lot of players sweating over whether they're getting the call to the final. What was it like waiting to find out? Because people would assume you'd be in, but probably until you see a squad, you're not certain.
Yeah, well, definitely. Because I think at that time I wasn't actually playing regularly marble, because I actually got injured. So, and then obviously we changed the manager over at Motherwell, and then I was injured when he first came in. I was coming back for a hamstring, and I was sitting there thinking, is this going to kind of affect him? And then obviously I signed a pre-contract at Aberdeen, which put my position at Motherwell even a wee bit more up in the air with the new manager. But I had a conversation with him, and he said, nothing's going to be for as long as my professionalism stays the same. So when I got back in the team and I was playing, I thought, right, this is fine. Then towards the end of the season, he took me back out because he wanted to see other players that were going to be there the next season. So I was sitting there wondering, well, I've got a Euro place that I'm kind of playing for. There's nothing guaranteed in football, you know that yourself. And no, so obviously there was a wee bit of nervousness regardless of how well I played that night in Serbia.
Is it like the X Factor where Stevie Clarke has to phone everyone up, or is it him who has to explain, or does he do the good ones and he gets John Carver to do all the sort of like, no, you've no made the squad? Like, how does it work?
I think the ones that he probably leaves out the squad is the ones that he phones. The ones that probably played a part that maybe just didn't make that squad list. I think he phones them out of respect because that's the way he is. It's the way he is even when you come out your first squad. So if you've been in that squad for X amount of camps and then eventually maybe something happens, form, injuries or whatever, if those are the kind of players that he phones. He phones the people that aren't in the camps and stuff like that. And then I think it's basically just it's like a collective group message for Frank Riley and the office team at the SFA and stuff like that make all the boys aware that they're in the camp, because it doesn't matter who tells you, if you're in that squad you're absolutely buzzing with it, but it's probably more upsetting for the boys that didn't make it. So Steve Clarke personally makes phone calls and has chats with them boys.
So it's not quite as brutal as you've just got a big WhatsApp chat and then Steve Clarke comes in and removes a few folk and then adds some more folk in.
No, it's not as bad as that. The group chat eventually gets made, but if you're in that group chat sometimes you do get removed. I have been on the end of that, I'm not going to lie, but it wasn't
brutal.
It wasn't as bad as doing it for the Euros. It's mainly just kind of certain camps, certain things like friendlies and stuff like that. But I have been on the receiving end of both, so that's good.
That's hilarious. So the Euros itself, obviously, Czech Republic first game, loads of build up to it. It's at Hampden. It's not a full crowd though. And then obviously on the day you're watching for the sidelines. You know, what do you think happened? What did the manager say at full time? Because it was so flat afterwards as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it was just obviously the full buzz about being there for the first time in 23 years, and there was that buzz. There was fans back in there, and I don't know. Just obviously the boy Patrick Schick scores an unbelievable wonder goal, didn't he? And that can flatten
even his
any
other
team.
goal I thought was a great goal as well, to be honest.
That's what I mean. So it's just one of the ones with all the expectations you're going in there. We'd actually only beat Czech Republic maybe a few months before that, and then obviously it comes to the Euros and you beat. I just think it was just, that's kind of why it was so flat after the game.
Mm-hmm. You played in that previous Czech Republic game, so that's where we went wrong, obviously.
Well, I keep trying to tell Steve Clarke that I should have played, mate, but these things happen. We live and we learn.
Then obviously it's the England game at Wembley, which was, you know, the highlight. Again, another phenomenal thing to be a part of.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Obviously, I think I was out with the squad in both the first two games, so obviously I didn't make the bench in the first two games, but Andy Robertson saying this was a big experience for everybody, so went out there, done the warm-up just as usual, and honestly just that feeling of walking out into Wembley, obviously Tartan Army and obviously England fans as well. It's in one of the biggest rivalries in the world, Scotland v England. There was no better feeling than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously the final game against Croatia, we've already spoken on the podcast about how good Luka Modric was that day. Just seeing him up close as well must have been something special.
Seeing him in the tunnel and he's about 3 foot nothing compared to me is unbelievable. But just watching how he plays the game, I mean, I don't even think he broke out with a jog, but yet you can't get near him. And the outside of his right foot is a wand. I've never seen anything like this. He actually scored the goal with it outside his right foot as well. It's just incredible how good a football player he actually is. How
do you feel when you're in the squad but you're not getting on the pitch? Because obviously every football player wants to play, but not everybody can play. How do you feel? Do you feel just as big a part of it, or is there disappointment? Or I guess you can't really blame anyone apart from Steve Clarke, but ultimately it's up to him.
At the end of the day, like when you play for your country, you're playing against the best of the best. So the 11 players that are on the park are the best of the best in Scotland at the end of the day, and there's no grievances with me not getting on the park and stuff like that. Like, these things happen. The boys were playing at a high level. As I said, I wasn't playing as much at the end of the season with Marwell as well. So, and some of the boys were playing some great football down south and that. So it was obviously a wee bit gutting, but just to be there and be selected in that squad was a major honour for me. And no, it was absolutely excellent, everything, and I felt part of it through the full campaign.
There are changes for the last Euros. You know, some of the names you've mentioned, Ryan Jack possibly not going to be there. You know, some of the heroes of Belgrade, like Lee Griffiths and Callum Patterson and Ollie McBurney and guys like that. You know, the squad's evolved, but the ones who did play in the last finals, the McGinns, the Dykes, the McGregors, the Robertsons, will they be better, Declan, for the experience of that last finals?
I think so. I think the fact that we've now went back-to-back Euros, I think there's another monkey off the back. There's less pressure, I'd probably say, on this tournament now, where the lads can now go out and play with a freedom. I think you've seen that in the qualification competition, that Scotland played with a freedom. They played as if they were a team that just knew what they had to do, and they went out there and they beat the likes of Spain and stuff like that. So I'm very confident for the boys going into this tournament.
Germany will be a hard start. You're taking on the hosts in the first game with all that it involves, but Hungary and Switzerland wouldn't terrify you?
I think the way Scotland are playing now, nobody should terrify us. I don't even think, obviously, it'll be a hard game. Obviously, the host nation, they're going to win. They've got all the fans behind them. But I don't think Scotland should feel that game either, because they've already shown that they can beat the likes of Norway, they can beat the likes of Spain. Yeah. So I think they're going to go into that very, very confident. And the way the boys are playing just now, they're playing some great football. So I'm really looking forward to the Euros, and I definitely think they can progress from the group stage.
I mean, Germany's obviously going to be really difficult, but we're the underdogs. We're good when we're the underdogs as well. There's no really any much pressure on us. It's all on the Germans. And then, as Roger says, Hungary and Switzerland, then Hungary. I think the good thing about those games are they're not going to be sitting in and defending against us, because they'll be looking at Scotland, thinking, well, we could have a bit of them as well, and that actually might suit us in a way too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it always suits us when we're the underdogs, as you say there. I think the system that we kind of play with the free at the back, or maybe it goes at forward back, I'm not too sure, but with the free at the back, just kind of soaking that pressure and then catching teams on the counter attack, because our forward players, and like Ryan Christie's, John McGinns, and we've just got some athletic players up there, Lyndon Dykes, and then obviously if Lawrence Shankland makes the squad as well, like, he's on a rich vein of form, do you know what I mean? So all it's taking is one chance for him, and we've got a really good chance. Yeah,
I think Lawrence Shankland would be pretty upset if he didn't make the squad after the season that he's just had.
Don't want to put any more pressure on Steve Clarke to pick him there.
No. You know, obviously we'll find out in the next 24 hours, as Roger says, as we're recording this. But we're just going to fire through some quick fire questions here. So who did you room? Did you room with Lawrence the entire time? Who was your roomies the whole time you were away?
Well, obviously it was COVID time, wasn't it? So we had rooms to ourselves. My first ever camp was Lawrence Shankland. After that, it was kind of like rooming yourself through COVID and stuff like that.
I mean, there's so many players over the years who would have preferred to be by themselves, I would imagine, over the last 30, 40 years or so. Kieran Tierney in charge of the tunes still?
I'd imagine he will be. He likes his hardcore raver tunes, so I definitely think he'll be in charge.
Who's the teacher's pet? Or who was the teacher's pet?
Oh, a teacher's pet, that's a good one. It just has to be the skip, doesn't it? Andy Robertson, always in the ear of Steve Clarke, guys, defo.
I mean,
respect.
If you're going to pick somebody, I mean,
you have to go right to the top, don't you? You have to go teacher's pet, Robert.
Totally. Who's the toughest opponent? You mentioned Mitrovic there. Is there anyone else who stands out?
Zahavi was decent, because we played Israel about 5 times, I think, in my game. So Zahavi was a decent player as well, both-footed, very, very good. So, and the wee boy Solomon that played for Israel as well, very, very good player. They were very hard players to play against.
You've already mentioned the best singer at the anthem, which is John McGinn, of course. Moniest in the team?
That's a good one. Scott McTominay, he's quite moany, to be fair. Great guy, but
he is the pal with Man United.
That's true.
It's got a lot on his plate.
Great guy, but is quite moany on the pitch. I don't actually know, to be fair. The boys aren't that bad, to be honest. Like, is that a good? That's actually quite poor for me to say that on Scotty.
No, exactly.
Just high standards. I'll say that.
Have you managed to get any souvenir strips or shirts from opponents?
No, and it's never been something that I've done. I've never ever went to swap shots before, but on my very first camp, the second game was San Marino. And I was
Please tell me someone for San Marino came up and wanted a Declan Gallagher strip.
I was on the bench. I didn't even play that game, and I went down, and he's actually, one of the players has come over and said, "Do you want to swap shirts?" So I've got the number 7 for San Marino, and he's got my top. So that is my best top.
That's tremendous. I love that. That's almost better than Eden Hazard or anything like that. That is superb. Right, we're going to crack on with the quiz. So let me tell you how it's sitting at this moment in time. Stephen O'Donnell is leading with 6, so he's currently top of the leaderboard. So obviously we're going to see who the ultimate Euro geek is by the end of this podcast series. Roger Hannah is going to take part as well, and you can almost like mark the scores as you're going. All right,
I'll answer the questions.
So we're going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and obviously we have the coveted Euro quiz trophy as well. So we don't know
that can go next to the San Marino number 7 jersey.
That's definitely not coming home with me. I can tell you that right now.
Well, listen, we'll see what happens. So we'll try and fire through as many questions as we can. I think we've got 60 seconds on the clock, and your time begins now. Name any English side that Steve Clarke managed.
Chelsea.
Who scored Scotland's only goal at Euro 2020?
Cal McGregor.
Name any of the 5 host countries for Euro 2028.
Couldn't even tell you.
In what decade did we adopt Flower of Scotland as the national anthem?
1800s.
Who is Scotland's top scorer from the current international squad? Top scorer in the squad.
John McGinn.
Who was the manager of Scotland when they first qualified for the Euros in 1992? Pass.
Craig Brown, was it?
Right. Name any player who scored a penalty against Serbia.
Kenny McLean.
What was the score last time Scotland's men's team played Germany?
2-0 Germany.
Name the only current Scotland international playing club football in Saudi Arabia before you go.
Jack Henry.
And who defeated England in the final of Euro 2020?
Don't know. Was that Italy?
It was Italy.
It was Italy.
It was Italy. But you were out of time. You were out of time.
It was the headphones, wasn't it? I could hear the background
The
music.
tension.
It put me under.
It's harder when you're under pressure, eh?
Of course it is.
It's a quick fire, isn't it?
That's why Roger Hannah's -1 on Clyde One Super Scoreboard is even more impressive. So let's go through the questions, and Roger can give me the answers. Name an English side that Steve Clarke is, man. You said Chelsea.
No, I know it, isn't it?
He was assistant.
I know he was. I knew. I don't know why. It's a quick fire. I get that.
You could have had.
West Brom. Reading.
Yep.
That's exactly why I didn't know that.
Exactly.
That's exactly why I didn't know.
Who scored Scotland's only goal at Euro 2020? Callum McGregor, that's correct. Name any of the 5 host countries for Euro 2028. You could have had
Coming here.
Scotland.
Nah, I couldn't give you it. I know.
Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland Republic.
Yep.
That's the one.
I know I went to it as well, and I still couldn't answer that question.
In which decade did we adopt the Flower of Scotland as our national anthem?
I'm going to guess 80s?
90s.
90s?
I don't know what did I say?
You said the 18-somethings.
Aye, miles off.
I mean, I think, to be fair, I don't think the Flower of Scotland wasn't written until about 1960 or something like that, I'm sure. But anyway, it was the 1990s. Good fact.
I went William Wallace.
Who's Scotland's top goal scorer from the current international squad? You said John McGinn. That is correct. Who was the manager of Scotland when they first qualified for the Euros in 1992?
Craig Brown was his number 2. Andy Roxburgh.
Andy Roxburgh. Manager from
Half a point surely for the assistant.
Nah, not at all. Name any player that scored a penalty against Serbia. You said Kenny McLean, which is correct. The other ones, Roger Hannah?
The other ones, Lee Griffiths.
Yep.
Ollie McBurney.
Yep.
Now.
I've got one there. I just got one in the head there. Scott McTominay.
Scott McTominay.
Okay,
The other one,
Callum Patterson.
Callum McGregor.
Callum McGregor.
Callum
McGregor. Last time Scotland played Germany was the Euro 2016 qualifiers, and it was 3-2 to Germany.
Thomas Muller scored twice.
Was that the one at Hampden? I think it was. You didn't get that one. Jack Hendry, of course, your soon-to-be teammate in Saudi Arabia, so that's you up to 4. And it was Italy who defeated England in the final of Euro 2020.
But I take it you're going to give him that. No?
I will give you that. Why not? I'll give you that. That's fine. It was just after the buzzer, but it doesn't make any difference because you're still bottom of the table.
I was going to say he's gave me that because I'm bottom.
That is a 5 for Declan Gallagher in the European Football Tournament quiz.
So, I'll take that.
That's not bad. One below Stephen O'Donnell. We'll see how everyone else gets on. So, listen, Declan, thank you so much for joining us on Scotland's Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun. It's been a lot of fun. All the best for the new season as well, back in the Premiership. I know you're going to be at Dundee United next season, unless that Saudi Arabian phone call is coming in over the next wee while. Roger, thank you very much as well.
Pleasure.
We'll see
Just
you.
going to ask before you go, Declan, what is more important, Stephen's an Dunfermline fan. Is it bigger to win the championship, or is it bigger to win one game against Dundee United on a Friday night that he's still banging on about?
Yeah, well,
you fell over, so.
No. They said I never had a good time at East End Park. I've not had a good game there yet. So I'm just thankful that they're in the championship and meeting the upper league now.
Well, exactly. We'll maybe meet you in a couple of seasons. We'll see what happens. So listen, remember, you can stay ahead of the game with the Scottish Sun Sport online. So head to thescottishsun.co.uk for all your latest there. And of course, you can check out Clyde One Super Scoreboard, our YouTube channel, podcast feed for loads more episodes, of course, of Clyde One Super Scoreboard, the Big Scottish Football Podcast, all the rest of it as well. But for now, that is it from us. We will see you next time for more Euro stories. See you soon. Bye bye.